6:29, whenever you're ready, Ann. It's a fairly light agenda, but a lot of proclamations there. I don't think we will. I don't think we will tonight for some reason. One of these times I'm going to be right, Tony. Okay. We're live now? Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'll call our regular public council meeting for May 1st, 2023 to order. Dun, dun, dun. First things first. New business. Councillor Tapper. Pass. Councillor Manning.
I'll pass.
Councillor Pollard.
Pass.
Councillor Epley is absent. Councillor Goss.
Congratulations.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
And I got a thanks. All right. Is there anybody here that wants to get on the first Q&A session? Mr. Tapper. George. You already got that wrote down, right? Okay, all right. Okay, anybody else? No, good, all right. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried, thank you. Public council minutes for April 17th, 2023. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. Conflict of interest, have a look at your sheet here that Julia put out. There's just one there for Marathon Holdings. Keep that in mind when it comes up. If there is anything that you need to declare. Alrighty. Moving right along. We got 6 proclamations here and to go through. And the first one, Councillor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Economic Development Week, May 8th, May 12th, 2023. Whereas the International Economic Development Council is the largest professional economic development organization dedicated to serving economic developers, provide leadership and excellence for communities, members, and partners. And whereas the International Economic Development Council celebrates and encourages all communities and municipalities to recognize and celebrate International Economic Development Week annually. And whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by facilitating growth, enhancing value, developing vibrant communities, and providing a stable tax base. And whereas the town of Torbay recognizes and celebrates all Torbay businesses and entrepreneurs through its Torbay Business Awards program, the Youth Entrepreneur Program in partnership with the schools, and through Small Business Week and community markets.
Therefore now be it resolved that the town of Torbay recognizes the week of May 8th through May 12th, 2023 as International Economic Development Week and remind individuals of the importance of economic development which supports entrepreneurship, new and existing business ventures, and community enhancements. So moved.
Seconded.
Second, any comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Had my notes screwed up there, Ward. Thought you were doing a different one, but anyway, don't matter. All right, now we will do the proclamation for Safety and Health Week.
Okay.
Councilor Manning.
Safety and Health Week, May the 1st to the 6th, 2023. Together we can create safe workplaces and communities. Whereas the goal of Safety and Health Week is to focus employers and employees, partners and the public on awareness, understanding and the importance of preventing injury and illness in the workplace, at home, and in our communities. Whereas the majority of workplace injuries, illnesses, and fatalities are preventable, and whereas safer organizations enjoy increased productivity, higher employee satisfaction, and a better reputation while recording less lost time and lower workers' compensation and healthcare costs. And whereas the town of Torbay fosters safety-minded work culture by striving to improve attitudes towards safety, raise awareness of the role and contribution of safety and health professionals, reduce workplace injuries and illnesses by encouraging safety and health education and activities. Whereas the town of Torbay recognizes the importance of safety and health and are committed to providing a safe and healthy workplace by eliminating workplace hazards causing injury, illness, harassment, and violence across the organization. Whereas during the week of May 1st to the 6th, 2023, the town of Torbay's occupational health and safety committees will increase employer, employee, and public awareness of being safe at work to encourage safe practices and enhance workplace safety efforts. And
Now therefore, I, Mayor Craig Scott, do hereby proclaim May 1st to the 6th, 2023 to be Safety and Health Week in the town of Torbay and encourage all industries, organizations, community leaders, employers, and employees to support activities designed to increase awareness of the importance of safe workplaces. So moved.
second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Proclamation, CMHA Mental Health Week. Deputy Mayor.
Proclamation Mental Health Week 2023, whereas CMHA Mental Health Week promotes mental health awareness through education campaigns, activities, and events held across Newfoundland and Labrador, and offers practical ways to maintain and improve mental health and support recovery from mental health problems and illnesses. And whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association encourages everyone to share their story by using hashtags MyStory and a Mental Health Week to shine a light on your personal journey, a program you offer, and how your community supports the mental health of others. And whereas increased awareness and understanding of mental health will promote the use of mental health services and supports and ensure Canadians with mental health-related illnesses are afforded the opportunity to recover. And whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association actively supports and encourages good health, mental health in all aspects of our lives, including CMHA Mental Health Week and throughout the year.
Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Craig Scott, of the town of Torbay, hereby proclaim the week of May 1st to the 7th, 2023 is CMHA Mental Health Week. I encourage all citizens to join me in sharing your stories by using hashtags MyStory and Mental Health Week to shine a light on your personal journey, a program you offer, and how your community supports the mental health of others. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments?
I'd just like to add a comment in there. I guess this is something that a few years ago at one of, I think it was the convention, there was a resolution to have a group or look at for municipalities to look at mental health, and as a result of that, the Mental Health Task Force was created, and now it comes under the umbrella of M&L as well. And I think is every Thursday, third Thursday of the month, there's a webinar that's on live for any municipalities or anyone really that's in the community if they want to attend. And I'm also involved with, used to be Channel LifeWise, and that's another group of people that meet on different times throughout the week, and it provides really good support. So I think the more that people can avail of any of the mental health supports, I think that it's really worthwhile. And I guess we all know somebody that's affected by mental health one way or another issues. So.
Anyone else? Well, one of the hashtags here is my story, and it's no surprise to anybody, and I've shared before, that since sitting around this table, I've had my own struggles with my mental health. And I did bring that to the M&L board table and ask that they try and figure out how to implement some mental health supports for members of elected councils, because there's a lot of things in place for employees, but not necessarily always for elected officials. And if you ever take a look at some of the things that get said about people on social media and other circles, it's not hard to understand how some people would struggle with that. But anyway, it's great to raise that awareness, and it's something that we need to keep talking about so that everybody understands and are aware that you know, the things that you do and the things that you say affect people and different people in different ways. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried, thank you. The next one is Proclamation for World Ovarian Cancer Day. Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Proclamation World Ovarian Cancer Day, May 8, 2023. Whereas ovarian cancer has no early detection testing, and whereas ovarian cancer symptoms are often confused with other less severe illness, and whereas ovarian cancer has the lowest survival rate of all female cancers, and whereas as many as 23% of women with ovarian cancer have an inherited genetic mutation, and genetic testing, whereas genetic testing is a way to identify people at high risk before they develop ovarian cancer.
Now therefore be it resolved that I, Craig Scott Mayor of the Town of Torbay, do hereby proclaim Monday, May 8, 2023, World Ovarian Cancer Day. I encourage all citizens of the Town of Torbay and the province to talk to their health providers about ovarian cancer and seek to learn more about the disease. So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Comments? I think every year that we do this one, I always think of Susan, who used to come down and advocate on behalf of people with ovarian cancer, and she was sharing her struggles as she went along, and ultimately she lost her battle with it. But the work that she did has been continued on by others, and I'm happy to support that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Thank you. Proclamation Municipal Awareness Week, Councillor Tapper.
Proclamation Municipal Awareness Week, May 8, 2023. Whereas the municipal government is responsible for the provision of services that enhance the quality of life of citizens, and whereas dedicated mayors, councillors, and staff are essential for the effective governance of their municipalities, and whereas collaboration, partnerships, and citizen involvement are essential for active, sustainable, and vibrant communities, and whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize and encourage the contribution of all who work diligently for the improvement of our municipalities.
Therefore, be it proclaimed that May 8 to the 12th, 2023 be known as Municipal Awareness Week in municipalities of Newfoundland and Labrador, in recognition of the vital role of municipal government and in recognition of all those efforts that support it. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? I think that Municipal Awareness Week is one that, well, it used to be a day, and then in their wisdom, they decided to do it for a week because a week is good. We get a chance to do a lot more activities and have things. And I know last year, during Municipal Awareness Week, we had some of our equipment out here in the back, loaders, dump trucks, stuff behind, didn't we? And a lot of people came over to check out the equipment that we got, and kids got a chance to get up in the loader and have a picture and everything. It's nice, and I think that a lot of people in the town, they don't realize, I guess, well, they think that the council does everything, but there are certain things that we're responsible for and other things that we're not. So it's a nice opportunity for us during this week to be able to put out information for people to understand what it is that exactly that we do and what it is that we're responsible for. And, you know, and always, as always, people are always welcome to come here and talk to staff and figure out, do you have any questions? Any other comment?
Just last year, we had the mock council meeting with the elementary school, and the plan is to do that. That went over really well, ever since we started it, so to do the same thing this year with the elementary school.
All right, excellent. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 2, Proclamation, Fibromyalgia Awareness Day. Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship.
You're welcome.
Proclamation for Fibromyalgia Awareness Day, May 12, 2023. Whereas Fibromyalgia Awareness Day aims to raise awareness and end the stigma and discrimination that accompany this chronic illness. Whereas Fibromyalgia Association of Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports only fibromyalgia. And whereas fibromyalgia affects about 5% of Canada's population, over 2 million men, women, and children of all ages and races in Canada are afflicted with this chronic illness. And whereas fibromyalgia often takes an average of 3 to 5 years to diagnose, and whereas there is no known cause of, prevention of, or cure of fibromyalgia, and whereas fibromyalgia, FM, is a complex illness whose symptoms vary widely and may include debilitating chronic pain, overwhelming fatigue, and cognitive impairment. And whereas patients with fibromyalgia often have a number of coexisting conditions, which may include chronic myofascial pain, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, temporomandibular joint disorder, TMJ, environmental sensitivities, anxiety, and depression. And whereas fibromyalgia greatly reduces quality of life, can cause total disability, and also affect families, friends, and employers. Living with chronic pain and fatigue on a daily basis can lead to social isolation, so it is important for sufferers and their families, friends, and caregivers to know that they are not alone. And whereas people with fibromyalgia have a right to be treated with dignity and have a right to pain relief, and whereas together we will find ways to enhance the quality of lives for people affected by fibromyalgia and together find a cure.
Now therefore, I, Mayor Craig Scott, on behalf of the Torbay, do hereby proclaim May 12, 2023 Fibromyalgia Awareness Day in the town of Torbay, and I call this observance to the attention of all citizens. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Thank you, everybody. Rose, right along. We have a presentation, Torbay History House and Museum Strategic Plan. Everybody should have a copy of it. Move right into that. Okay. Who's Noah? Just putting that up on the screen? Yeah, I'm just gonna move down there. Okay. I'm leaving my hammer there, so don't get over it.
Just by segue, I guess, I've lived with fibromyalgia for 23 years. It's a difficult disease. I'm like 5'10" of pain at all times. So thank you for that. I appreciate that proclamation. So Torbay History House and Museum, you know, we've been around for about a year now. And our volunteer board or museum advisory committee has been working on our strategic plan over that time, and tonight we're ready to present it. And I think there are exciting times ahead. We've done a lot so far. We've learned a lot of lessons already, and we're ready to get on the go with the rest of it.
So Lara as chair and myself as curator and manager, we're going to co-present this evening. Doesn't look like it's going to cooperate entirely with us, but it'll be good enough. So tonight what we're going to present are the mission and vision, core values, and strategic priorities that are outlined in the plan. And the action plan we leave to your reading enjoyment. It's 6 pages, and it provides a detailed breakdown of the specific actions to be taken in order to realize the strategic priorities that are outlined in the plan itself. So the mission statement for Torbay History House and Museum, some of this was inherited originally from the Linda Norris museum plan that was prepared in 2018, but some of it has been adapted given our experiences and where the board and museum staff want to see History House go. So the mission statement that's proposed in the strategic plan is to create a vibrant and inclusive community through art, culture, and heritage. We accomplish this through our active programs, exhibitions, and sharing collections in our historic property and throughout the community. We believe that an understanding of our cultures and living heritage, sparking new connections, can build a bright future for Torbay and the Northeast Avalon.
Our vision. Museums need to change. It's time to focus less on things and more on people and communities. It's time for museums to become vibrant and engaged cultural hubs, supporting creativity, growth, and cultural well-being. Like all community museums, we began as a community attic, and many of us will remember the attic in the basement. Now we strive to be Torbay's community living room.
Perfect. And so we have identified 9 core values. Just trying to think if I've got 7. Make sure I've done my math correctly. So the community has to be the inspiration and driver of our governance, our planning, and our operations. And our core values guide us in safeguarding, developing, and promoting Torbay's living heritage. The first of our core values is stewardship. We safeguard and responsibly manage the cultural, historical, human, institutional, and financial resources that are entrusted to our care. And the second is public value. We're accountable to the residents of Torbay to deliver sustainable, high-quality programs and services that impact, inspire, and serve the public interest.
Diversity and equity. Torbay History House's doors are open doors, and it is our practice to eliminate barriers to participation, make space for diversity, and nurture a culture of care and respect. And I think under that eliminate barriers to participation piece, we're thinking both financial and physical, so people with financial challenges or with physical challenges, disabilities. We want to make space for those people as well. Cooperation. Our governance and operations are open to the perspectives and contributions of all our partners and stakeholders, and it is our practice to be respectful, patient, open-minded, and compassionate.
Creativity. We celebrate the creativity and intellectual growth of all of our visitors through our programs, exhibitions that support self-expression and self-reflection, regardless of age, from children as young as 4 to those who are young at heart.
Community. Our community partners are our strength and inspiration, and our governance and practice is rooted in community collaboration and participation.
And finally, lifelong learning. We believe learning is a lifelong adventure of discovery and growth that can be nurtured by our collections, our exhibitions, and our programs.
Our mandate. Torbay History House will be a vibrant, welcoming place, bringing residents and visitors together to live happy, healthy, creative lives through cultural well-being, artistic expression, and connection to heritage. We develop and deliver accessible, high-quality programs and events, creating opportunities for cultural participation and connection. We support individuals and families and welcome visitors through exhibitions, programs, and services developed to promote discovery, reflection, lifelong learning, and exploration. We grow and nurture our local cultural industries and community partners, collaborating to create opportunities for economic and community development.
And our plan identifies 4 strategic priorities, and each of the sub-pieces as part of each of these strategic priorities are those that are enumerated in the action plan that follows the pieces of the strategic plan that we're presenting this evening. So the first of our strategic priorities is to enhance and prioritize the visitor experience. And the first of these pieces is to create a sense of arrival for visitors through wayfinding and interpretation. And History House is it's sort of the beginning beacon for visitors coming to explore Torbay and the Killick Coast. And from the very beginning, History House has always been envisioned as the tourism beacon for Torbay. So this is the place for visitors to get information about the community, where they can go to explore, where they can go to get something to eat, what they can see, what they can do, and ultimately travel on to our neighboring municipalities. The second piece is that we wish to continue to develop, refine, and appropriately beautify our historic building to provide a sense of place and a feeling of welcome and wonder. The third, to develop a commercial kitchen to provide enhanced hospitality services to support programming and special events. And the fourth, to continue and improve the gardens at History House in alignment with the town of Torbay's Garden Tourism Initiative.
Just before we move on to this piece, the commercial kitchen piece, I'm really looking forward to. We had a bread making workshop at History House last Sunday, Sunday before last, and I spent a lot of time washing dishes, so I got to know the kitchen up close and personal, and there's definitely room for improvement in terms of the structure of the kitchen, the plumbing, the taps, the whole works. So if we're going to keep doing all these sort of food-based and community-based activities, it was really, really nice to get that beefed up. Number 2, envision and realize a holistic approach to heritage and culture. To reunite the museum and public library, because there's so much potential for collaboration and on events and programs there. To provide professional development to staff and volunteers that is current, innovative, and relevant. To nurture our community-centered governance model, and to implement professional collections management practices that are appropriate to the vision and scale of our institution.
And the third is to be a partner in education and lifelong learning. We seek to expand educational program offerings to include additional grade-specific programs for children and youth, as well as lifelong learning programs for adults and seniors. This includes providing holistic learning opportunities that connect heritage, culture, arts, and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and to collaborate with educators, students, and community partners to develop an educational program master plan to guide our program offerings to students from kindergarten through to grade 6. And currently, History House averages on month about 400 children from Holy Trinity Elementary and now increasingly from Juniper Ridge Intermediate.
And that's a rate of student visitation that even the rooms would be jealous of. So I'm really happy that Noah and the staff have been able to nurture that with the help, of course, of some volunteers. Number 4, be an anchor for community cultural and economic development. Collaborate with neighboring communities to develop a regional heritage plan for the Killick Coast that identifies, evaluates, and plans for the future of our historic and cultural assets, develop market-ready tourism products in partnership with local cultural and hospitality businesses, and to develop and implement a cultural and heritage marketing strategy in partnership with the Torbay Folk Arts Council and the Town of Torbay's Economic Development and Tourism Officer.
Thank you very much. That concludes our presentation. As I said, the action plan included in the strategic plan enumerates specifically what our goals are to achieve, both all four of the strategic initiatives as well as sub-initiatives that are included within them. And if you have any questions or comments, we're quite happy to hear them and to respond.
Okay. Thank you for that. Presentation was great. Anybody have any questions? No?
No, I would just like to, I guess, thank the whole group who had the opportunity to be on the committee and know the work that comes out of the History House Museum. So between the advisory committee and with the staff that are there, I've heard nothing but positive comments from people either in Torbay or outside of Torbay. And Lara referenced the bread making. Well, it was something on my bucket list, and everybody in here is aware of me taking the bread making and how proud I was of the whole thing. But it was interesting on that course that we had that morning that I'd say over half probably, or a fair amount of them, weren't even from Torbay, and that they heard about it and that they came to participate, and everybody's saying such positive things about up there. So it definitely adds, you know, a lot of chemistry and a lot of involvement in bringing the community together. So thank you for that. Great job.
Any other comment? Ralph?
I just wanted to say I attend the member committee on behalf of town. So I attend their company.
Turn on, can you turn your microphone on? Can you turn your microphone on, please?
Yeah, I'm a member of the committee, the advisory committee representing the town. So I attend their regular monthly meetings. There's a lot of interest from the group involved on that committee, and I congratulate and thank them for that. It's not only, you know, this group, they're not only active attending meetings, but they also attend events and everything that comes out from the history, inside the History House and outside to the garden. So, you know, it is a very active community up there now, and we're hoping to make it even more active. We're talking about the younger people, but we had our first meeting yesterday with the steering committee for the Mannion project, which is going to pick up steam pretty soon, but that is directly linked to the university, which will bring in other younger people, but at that age level. So there's even more on the horizon. So I thank the committee.
All right, any other comment? I will just say this, and I want to say thank you to you guys and everybody on the advisory committee. To hear that we've only been open not quite a year yet, and to go from where we were there, and I commend you for this because I was there to see what you were doing the night before we did the official opening the next day. I mean, it was a lot of work. You know, it was a lot of work by a lot of people that were volunteering, that went up there that night and throughout that week to try and get the exhibits ready or to have the place presentable for the next day for the opening. And I just want to say thank you to everybody on the committee, and a lot of you are here, that, you know, it's great work that you're doing up there, and I've heard nothing but positive. So between the History House and the work that Jan and our staff are doing over at the Common for the programs that we're going to be able to deliver in the town now is endless. And I know that, and I got a letter, and I shared it with council last week from a teacher, I think from Juniper Ridge, you know, complimenting the program that was offered there and the students going, so it's great. I look forward to reading through the action plan, and I know that you guys have been working really hard, and I thank you. I thank you for this. Okay. No other questions? No. All right, so that's that. Now,
Oh,
there's George. I just wanted to make sure that we did the presentation part was over, so we didn't go over our 15 minutes. Carry on.
Okay. Mr. Mayor and councillors, my name is George Tapper. I am a member of the advisory committee, and I also am a volunteer with the school program. And I just want to express, I mean, we just heard Noah and Lara present that, but I want to express my feelings as I volunteer with the programs that are organized by Noah and his group. And I find that the kids are so excited when they come in. I just want to say that I think that if we are going to develop leadership for the years to come, then we have to develop pride in these kids through programs that we can offer at the History House. They enjoy coming. They look forward to coming back, and more kids are really taking part in the activities that are planned for them. So I just want to give my reaction as a volunteer, more than a member of the advisory committee, of the value that I see in the programs that are being offered. Thanks.
Thank you.
And I am a retired teacher.
Thank you. And to your
At this point.
to your point, and I guess the point that because we've been so much concentrating on kids right now, there's lots of programming that happens at that History House for seniors and people of all ages, because since we've opened that, we've had all kinds of different types of events for all different ages, and so it's I agree, it's great to focus on children, and particularly during the day when school is in and getting them, but that place is to the point of the, what is it, our moniker, is that what it is, Noah? Our house is your house? There you go. And I mean, there's, couldn't be anything more true than that. Thank you. All right, now, moving on. Where am I to? Mayor's report. I'm gonna do this really quickly. So, first off, I'm gonna do the birthdays for the month of May. Paul Maloney, Infrastructure and Public Works on the 3rd of May. Doug Powell, Planning and Development on the 5th. Ward Goss, Councillor, on the 8th. Tessa Thorne, Recreation Community Services on the 21st. Jason Penny, Infrastructure and Public Works on the 31st. I want to wish you all a happy birthday, and I hope you have a great day. Now, where am I? Okay. Oh, I wished him happy birthday to his last meeting. I don't want to keep bringing it up. He gets a bit weary about it.
Get over that.
What have I got here? Okay. So I'm just going to quickly run over a couple of things that we did last week, and most of it is around the Solomon Goss's birthday festival. And I just want to say to the library board and everybody who volunteered with that, congratulations. I think it was a huge success. I wasn't able to make it over to the Jigs dinner, but I did send along my daughter to pick me up some takeout, and I had that. And then on the 25th, we had our volunteer appreciation awards, as well as our Chief McGrath awards, and I want to congratulate those winners for that, and thank staff for doing a great job organizing and recognizing our volunteers. And then I did manage to pop out and get over to the storytelling for a little while over at the church, and that there was a lot of stuff on the go on, I guess that was Tuesday night, maybe it was the 25th anyway. And, you know, there's I've had an opportunity to go listen to those people tell stories before, and if you ever get a chance, if you see it advertised, go, because it's an awful lot of fun, and it's there's a real skill to that, and I'm sure it'll be happening throughout the summer. On the 28th, myself and Councillor Tapper, and Councillor Pollard, and my wife Lorraine, and Kim Osmond from out here in the front office, we participated in the Family Feud. We didn't win, no, we didn't come in second. We lost to the 50-plus active group, and congratulations to them. And it was there was a great crowd there. I know one thing, the next time I does that, I'm putting my mother on the team, because she was there complaining that she knew all the answers and we didn't know anything, so I'll take her up on that next time. What else do we do? Oh, yes, almost forgot. So on the 29th, we had our concert and dance at the Common. We had kitchen party and Sons of Mary played. It was excellent. There was a nice crowd there and a lot of fun. And I think that is it, except for yesterday, and I couldn't make it, but I know Councillor Pollard was there, Make It Towns at the Hike Town Walk. So throughout the whole week, there was events on the go for Solomon Goss's birthday festival, and to raise money for the Torbay Public Library. And I think I want to thank the library board for the great work that they've done. And you know, every time I turn around and I speak to these volunteers, I had an opportunity on Saturday night to talk to Scotty just for a minute when he's putting out his calls for volunteers. We have to expand our volunteer network. We have lots of volunteers, but we had to bring them all together. So when we're doing a community breakfast, that we reach out to the library board, and reach out to the History House board, and we'll all get together and do those breakfasts. And then when you guys have something on the go, or the library board has something on the go, then we can get all those volunteers together and try and continue to grow that volunteer base that we've been working so hard for the last year. And we've done a really good job. And we just got to keep that up and make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on, something they might have an interest in. And so I told him to put that on his radar. So it's all good. And only one other thing that I'm going to mention, because the time is getting short, and that's to do with the counselor mandatory training. For anybody that doesn't have their mandatory training done, you better look to make your appointment to get your classes, because it has to be done by September 1st. That's drop dead date. And if you don't have your training completed by September 1st, then the result is that your seat is vacated. Send it down. So, and we don't want nobody getting their seat vacated because they didn't do their mandatory training. Alrighty, and I know that Don sent out emails with the dates of upcoming training opportunities, and I don't know that there's a lot left, is there, Don? Not a lot left, so have an eye out for that. Okay. Business Horizon Report. Anybody have any questions on that? See none. Correspondence. We have a thank you letter here for Torbay Volunteer Fire Department of our donation of gifts to the Special Needs Christmas Party. And so it's an annual event, and this is one of my favorite things I think that I've ever gone to since I've been a member of council, is the Special Needs Christmas Party. And I think this might have been the first year that we're actually able to get back together as a group. And I know that it's really appreciated in the community, and it's not just our community that the special needs people come from. They come from Flat Rock, Puchco, Balleen, different areas around to come down. And Mr. Tilly, Joe, he is the one that is the driving force behind that, along with the fire department, and he makes the phone calls every year to personally invite everybody to go. So it's a great event, and their letter is there if anybody wants to have a look at it. And there's a communication here, report to council from Federation of Canadian Municipalities Here for your reading pleasure. Any questions? No? Okay, good. Committees of Council, Committee of the Whole, we don't have any Committee of the Whole minutes. Planning and Land Use Development, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before we start, do you want to offer folks a chance to escape if they want to, or?
You don't have to stay for the whole meeting if you don't want to, but you're welcome to. Something might happen, you might want to ask about it after.
I'm going to sleep. Thank you.
All right, see ya.
I had 25 years of secretary.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
We have a captive audience.
Shy.
Can you let them go?
You don't want an audience at all, do you?
No. Gee, that worked out well. Sorry. I'm not going to say it anymore because, anyway, where were we? Planning and Land Use Development. Thank you, Your Worship. Yes. Go back to the beginning now. The first motion was for proposed amendment rural to residential large lot in the Edgewater Lane extension, phase 8 of Forest Landing. We had quite a lengthy discussion on it, and you can read all about it there in the preamble to the motion. And the motion is fairly lengthy, so I'm not necessarily going to read all of the words that are here, but it came down to a discussion around future for the land in that area, which we really haven't discussed yet, and we're going through the municipal plan. There is, as we found out when we were looking at previous zoning in that area around the depot, that there's a significant wood reserve there that we're trying to protect and stop encroachment on. And this also gets fairly close to the airport, and there are some concerns about, sounds and even just being that close to the airport doesn't make it necessarily a great place for a residential subdivision to expand that way. So the motion reads, the motion to refuse proposed amendment RZ 2023-002 from rural to residential large lot to facilitate a potential future subdivision development in the area. Phase 8 Forest Landing, Edgewater Lane Extension South for the following reasons: proximity to airport boundary and airport infrastructure, potential future noise concerns due to the airport proximity, potential concern about future private wells in close proximity to airport and flight activities and any chemicals used at the airport, protection of existing forested and domestic cutting areas for future recreational habitat and fuel sources, protection of northbound watershed, concerns about flooding into downstream areas, and long-term plans and policy development for general area have not been determined by council. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I just want to speak that, I'm sure someone will come up and say the concerns about flooding in downstream areas, that the subdivision itself will be required to have net zero runoff, so it might necessarily impact that, but there certainly is in a wetland, and the area down there for domestic cutting, like I said, certainly is the bigger concern, and that whole area is yet to be discussed in terms of how we're going to develop. And to say that it is that we're refusing a residential subdivision, I guess yes we are, but it is an extension of an existing one that's there that encroaches right on the edge or almost to the edge of that domestic cutting area now. So we figured that is probably the extent as far as it goes. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm sure Julie will answer them.
All right, go ahead.
I just want to comment a bit further. We really got to be close or, careful in this area, because we got Pine Ridge subdivision, we've got the airport boundaries. On the other side, we started a Forest Landing subdivision. But we also got our watershed area in there, and we're hoping to make some, land out there for commercial or industrial development. So, this will, and as Tony mentioned, the protected area for wood cutting, and that's been, highly utilized. We were surprised at the numbers that Julia provided as to how many people in this community go up there actually cutting wood for their own heating. So, there's a lot of different issues with this, and I think we got to be careful. And at this point in time, I'll support the motion.
Okay, any other comment? I have a question. But to your point about the domestic cutting area, this was only a few years ago. Remember, Ron, they expanded that? We didn't even know when we looked in And it was expanded in that area. The issues around the airport, I know that there's a zone, right, that you can be in, that about the sound issue, there's certain, can you explain that to me, Julia, a little bit, just so that people understand?
Yeah, all right. So the airport authority, in connection also with the requirements of the what's it still called now, St. John's Urban Regional Plan, the existing regional plan that's in effect, delineates noise exposure forecast lines. So basically, the closer you are, and this has to do kind of with almost like a cross shape, the flight path as planes arrive or take off. And the closer you are and the lower the plane is, of course, the higher the noise will be. This particular area would be located between the 30 and 35 noise exposure forecast boundary. And in that area, in that realm, so to say, you have to have noise attenuation measures. So you have to have soundproof windows, etc. And according to the airport, other airports, or it's basically known that anywhere above the noise exposure forecast 25, people may start complaining, right? So, and we already have, just to explain, like we are hearing from some people about, airplanes taking off and hearing the engines start up when the kind of north of Western Island Pond. So this is way closer, right? So there's basically a concern about the noise impact that may have on any homes that could be built there. Even with noise attenuation measures, it will be very close to the airport. Okay.
Any other questions? I got one other question. So Phase 8, was that part of the original subdivision plan from the beginning?
So right now, all planning as such is phase 7. So there's still one more phase in phase 7. So right now, what was approved, I think last year or maybe early this year, was 7B. So the extension of Cedarwood Lane. There's one more phase, 7C, which would kind of create the full loop around that wetland that sits in the middle. And this would be an additional phase. So in my mind, that has was never forecasted as such. And as you may recollect, a few months ago, what was tabled with council was a request for Crown land acquisition for this parcel of land. And we replied that it might be premature because the land is designated rural, and that they need to submit an application to determine if it can even be rezoned or if it can be rezoned, and that's what this is now. So after reviewing all the detail, it was felt that it may not be wise as such. I just wanted to add to, like, while the airport and the regional plan don't prohibit development in that in between those two noise exposure forecast lines, it's not highly recommended, or it's not recommended as such. It's not prohibited, but it's not great.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the next one is the motion to accept permits listings for the week ending April 27th, 2023 is tabled. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
We did discuss a few other things. The discussion around the cell tower is still ongoing. We had some information sent back to us by Bell, and we're looking at alternate locations and going back to request some additional information on that. So we will have a decision on that one way or the other, I think, next time around. WSP reports, as we know, were done a couple of weeks back. There are minute meetings here for the Torbay Environment Advisory Committee, so folks can read that at their leisure. And other than that, your worship, that ends my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you, sir. Next on the list, admin and HR, Councillor Manning.
Okay, we don't, we had a meeting this morning, so minutes, there's no minutes there
Okay,
for last week, and there's a memo there for a review, and, I would make a suggestion, if you have any questions, never mind, you should, go to the CAO for any clarification and such. Other than that, that's it.
okay. Any questions?
Can I just
Go ahead.
comment?
Yeah.
I just want to thank the CAO for doing this memo, I think, because there's some noise out there concerning this, and I think her explanation justifies what action was taken by the town and by the staff. So again, CAO did a great job, and thanks for clarifying all the particulars.
All right. All right, thank you. Corporate Services, Councillor Tapper.
Okay, we'll deal with the committee report first, if I can get it up here, okay. So our meeting was last Wednesday. Payroll, regular payroll for 56 employees for a 2-week period ended April 21st, 2023, totaling $111,731.66. Accounts payable for the 2-week period ended April 21st, 2023. Invoices in the amount of $757,556.76 were processed. So we have some invoices for council approval. There's 12 operating invoices totaling $207,107.33. So invoice 63083 A Harvey and Company, $16,073.62. Invoice 6003355 Brandt Tractor Limited. The amount is $5,701.32. Invoice 201409867 Cody Construction and Excavating, $9,832.50. Invoice 2023 East Coast Trail Association, $5,000. Invoice 193654 GFL Environmental, $45,530.67. Invoice 195712 GFL Environmental, $43,529.56. Invoice 221728 K&D Pratt, $12,686.80. Invoice April 14, 2023 NL Power, $17,347.98. Invoice April 1st to the 15th, 2023 Receiver General, $36,617.38. Invoice 13363 Starlight Electric Limited, $6,037.50. Invoice 2023 Torbay Folk Arts Council, $5,000. Invoice 220776 Triware, $5,750. I motion for payment.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
There's one capital invoice totaling $16,269.05. Presented for approval. Invoice 28980 Sports Systems Canada. Again, $16,269.05. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So we have some motions. So motion number 1 is purchase of town hall copier. The lease recently expired on a copier located at Town Hall. There is an option to buy out current copier for $1,795.80. Purchase of the unit and its relocation to History House is being considered. The Director of Corporate Services has received per copy charges from Nova Imprint. The per copy charges are $0.0082 for black and white and $0.0592 for color. The committee recommends purchasing the photocopier and relocating it to the History House Museum. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So, motion 2 is on reallocation of CCBF funds. In 2019, a roads project was submitted to the Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF, for the upgrade of 16 municipal streets. Not all streets submitted have been completed. Of the streets not completed, 3 are included in our 2023 MYCW Torbay Streets project, and they are Dunphy's Lane at $167,535, Gallows Cove Road at $63,849, Hiscox Lane at $32,266. After reviewing the development files, another was found to be the responsible of the developer, Torquay Place at $78,183. As these streets are no longer required within the CCBF program, the original funding allocated to these streets can be removed from the project and be assigned as unallocated funding. The committee recommends that total CCBF funding in the amount of $341,833 be removed from the CCBF project number 261-2019-6882 and be assigned as unallocated to then be available for the 2023 CCBF projects. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion 3, 2023 CCBF projects. The following CCBF tax projects were approved in the 2023 municipal budget. They are all listed there with their dollar amounts. I won't read it out. The committee recommends the submission of the required CIPs to the Canada Community Building Fund Secretariat to obtain approval to fund these projects through the Canada Community Building Fund. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
I have one. Soccer nets and wheels are listed on this under the CCBF. We just approved one there tonight for $16,495. Were those amounts budgeted, or is there any crossover between those two?
Excuse me, that is the soccer nets that we're going to fund through gas tax.
Yes, well, what was the 16 that we approved then? Is there additional? I thought that would have closed off the soccer net purchase to 16,000.
That's 16 includes the HST, which we'll get back.
Yeah, it's,
I think what you're asking, is that the same nets or is these more?
It is the same nets, yes.
Okay. That answer your question, Tony? Or not?
yeah, these leads to another one, no? If we approve payment of 16, which means we already have nets purchased, how can we put a Canada Building Fund in for something we already purchased?
You can put in CIPs now under the Community Canada Building Fund for expenditures that are already been incurred.
Really? Interesting.
And when we did our budget, I actually sent all these into Deanne Spurl to see if they were qualifying projects, and she came back to me and said that they would all qualify.
Okay, so you know we already have some purchased? You know what, that's fine. You say that they can be done, I'm good.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So motion 4, project financing 2023 Torbay Roads. The TD Bank loan for the 2023 Torbay Roads and Recreation Open Spaces projects was originally approved by Council as a single borrowing for both projects. The Department of Municipal Affairs required that both projects be approved separately. The borrowing for the individual projects was approved during the Public Council meeting on April 17, 2023. So the original motion approving the borrowing as a single loan must be rescinded. So the committee recommends rescinding motion RES-82-2023. Resolved that the Town of Torbay award the financing of the recreation open space projects and the 2023 Torbay Roads project to TD Bank for a 3-year term and 15-year amortization at the rate of 5.207%. So moved.
Seconded.
Is that two motions in one? Do we have to do the rescind motion first? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Just
Alright.
do the
Did-
committee recommends rescinding motion resolution
Yeah.
1.3.
So I move that the committee recommends rescinding motion RES-82-2023. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And the second part, resolved that the town of Torbay award the
No,
financing.
that's the actual motion that we're rescinding, right from the minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, motion 5. Peak Shark sponsorship.
Sorry, before we go on, sorry, Ralph, didn't mean to interrupt you. Motion 4, we're rescinding a motion, are we replacing it with another one?
The motion to do them as single projects was put through at the last council meeting on April 7th. So we did our two separate motions in that meeting, but we didn't rescind the previous one.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Carry on, sir.
Okay, the Peak Shark sponsorship. Sydney Fisher of the Peak Sharks cheerleading team will be traveling to Orlando, Florida, to compete in the World Cheerleading Championships from April the 18th to the 25th, 2023. She's requested council's consideration for sponsorship, so in accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation of $200 towards the cost of traveling to the World Cheerleading Championships. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I got a question on that. There's been like a lot of those going on a weekly period. And I noticed that this is one person, because it said in the comments that some of those people, other people in the cheerleading team are from various other towns, and we have one person. We're giving the same amount to one person going from Torbay as we're giving to teams that are going. So if I was to look at this and I was somebody who put in for a team to go somewhere, I'd look at it and say, we could have 15 people going, representing a team. We're giving them $200. And yet we got one person from Torbay who's part of, from all over the place, but one team, and we're giving them the same amount. So I really think that that's something that we should be looked at, because to me, I don't think that it's fair to give one person on a team the same amount that you're giving a full team from Torbay. And that's just my comment, that there's something not right about what we're doing here.
Yeah. There's 2 or 3 issues I think that we're facing, and you're probably counting them up. Between hockey team, the Northeast Avalon hockey teams, we've given 2 or 3 different, donations. Same way with the cheerleaders. If they win the national title or whatever, then they go to the Worlds or provincial, national. So you could end up same person getting 3 donations. So we got to review the policy as to and combine and see what we can do. We only got so much to go around, budgeted. So it's, if we give them whatever, if it's a hockey team or basketball, how many do we give? Or how much do we give?
Yeah.
I get your point. It is a good
Yeah,
point.
like if it is a team, I have
Yeah.
no problem, with any of it, but I just don't think that it's fair to give one person the same amount that you're actually giving a team from Torbay. Because I usually ask, well, when there's one person, but it did say in the explanation, that she's one, but from other towns, and I just don't see that as being fair to everyone
If we have a
else.
standard amount for teams compared to a standard amount for, an individual, I think that's what we gotta put on paper within our policy,
Okay. But for now, this is in line with our policy that we have, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So there's other documents there as usual if there's any questions.
Okay, no questions? Moving on, economic development and tourism. Counselor Goss.
I wasn't.
Hang on, you weren't there.
No.
Counselor Manning.
Just Counselor.
Oh, my. Minutes are all there. I'll just, and I hope you all read them. I'll just run down through the Torbay Business Awards. This is planning underway, scheduled for May the 11th. And I'm looking forward to this myself again this year. Staff resources. We did put out for a position, Economic Development and Tourism Ambassador position. So there were a total of 12, and actually interviews were held today. So I was personally excited about that too, to get such a good response. Torbay Makers Market, vendor registration is open. The expression of interest for 1296 Torbay Road. EDO Lawrence has met with a person interested in regarding the old bank over there, and she's working with them to confirm a date to review the proposal and bring it to committee of the whole and see where that goes and see if there's any more interest being generated. Economic Development Week, May the 8th to the 12th. Town will be celebrating its business and nonprofit community through the Torbay Business Awards. The Provincial Tourism Accommodations Act, that was apparently announced last week. The province has rolled out a new Accommodations Act, and it's there. There's, my understanding, some changes to it that, and EDO has provided information to the Planning Department for review. Torbay wayfinding signage was paused for a little while. The new rep was in touch with EDO Lawrence on April the 24th, and the project is expected to get back on track. Community supports discussions were ongoing with Economic Development, Planning and PW regarding the updates in the area where the stage was installed. More details to come. Mobile vendor request was received and currently in review. To incorporate a business letters were issued in April, and one has since applied for the business license. 2023 Tulip Festival, it's all there. Experience Torbay Tourism Campaign. This was kicked off during the National Tourism Week. Social media graphic shares a variety of photos of the events and other Torbay scenery. Campaign will be highlighted throughout the next few months in both print and online as a way to entice visitors to experience Torbay. I thought that was, I enjoyed going through that myself. That was pretty cool. Tourism in Torbay photo contest closed on April the 28th. And Torbay Flower of the Year contest that closed on April 21st, and online votes and such are being counted and looked at there now. And we'll find out what the flower will be. And that's it. Any questions, we'll certainly go ahead and ask, and I shall forward on to Economic Development for any responses required.
Just one, in terms of the building, I know we have an expression of interest, whatever it is. Have we looked at the sale option of that building? Does anyone know? Have we looked at that? Have we priced that up or anything to see what it would return?
I'm not sure. I think that, has there a request gone to corporate for any costs associated with that building, like value-wise or anything like that? No?
For the bank building?
Yeah.
We mentioned going out, Councillor Appley actually asked me to do like a market analysis, what we could do. And then I received an email from Deanne in Economic Development to put a pause on that because
Okay.
they were looking at alternative uses for that building.
Okay. That part I wasn't sure of. Okay, and like I said, I do know that there's an interest there, and actually there might be two, but at this point now, one official one that is being reviewed and going through the process. And certainly, that was a good question, too.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. History, Heritage, Culture, and Arts, Deputy Mayor.
No, asking Councillor Tapper, because I wasn't there.
Okay, Councilor
Yeah,
Tapper.
myself and Councillor Manning attended. That was 26th. Noah's report is there, manager's report, just to highlight a few things. And again, the committee, the advisory committee spoke about the high attendance level, especially from the children's programming. They're at a you know, a very interesting level, and it's only increasing. Most of the evening children's programs actually are sold out at this point. So that you know, is an example. The summer and fall education programs are being developed, and the permit for the greenhouse construction has been granted. And the ACOA application for the annex, the new annex, is in the final stages. So there's some reports there as well from NOAA's information. There's the services and operations report regarding the programmings, and cultural archival is all interesting information. The very last item actually is something that we discussed in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department. Actually, back when 50 years ago, next year, one of the major reasons why that fire department got established was the tragic fire where seven of our children died from the Bradbury family. So we thought it would be a good idea if we could maybe have a small monument erected somewhere. And so we're going to explore that further. I have been in contact with a family member, and they're all in support of this as well. They're delighted. So that's something down the road we're going to, and I asked No to check in if we could get a grant maybe to help out. So, you know, that's another objective for the committee. So anyway, that's my report. If there's any questions.
Could I just speak to that? Just further to your point, Councillor Tapper, regarding the recognition of the fire department and the monument to the Bradbury family. I know Fire Chief is going to be following up with NOAA to discuss some items as well too, because next year is the Volunteer Fire Department's 50th anniversary as well too, so it ties in quite nicely.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? I have a quick question, and I don't know if it's for Noah or if it's for Brian. Do we know if and when we're going to put that fence back up between History House Yard and that white two-story on the corner? What?
I left messages for that landowner and they've yet to return my call. It's still on my desk.
Just asking me about it, so I told him to ask.
Okay.
I haven't received anything on it, besides what you had sent me to talk.
Okay, all right. I'll get him to follow up again then. All right, thank you. Okay, that's it. Infrastructure, Public Works, Councilor Pollard.
Thanks again, Your Worship. There are no motions. We did meet on Wednesday past. You can read down through. Most of the updates are still in process. The flow meter project is due to be commissioned next week, I think, or the week after, and it's all tied up to waiting for engineers and consultants and that to get information for us. So the flow meters, the Beamer and Beamer View Place or the tender for Beamer View Place should be ready to go probably sometime next week. In relation to the multi-year capital works roads, we will be doing our change order will be coming for Roblin Place, as we're going to replace some of the culverts in that area, and they haven't been priced up yet. So as soon as that comes back, we'll bring back that to committee. There is still money in the project funding to be able to cover that off, so it shouldn't be a problem from a financial perspective, but there's certainly we can't replace the road without replacing some of those larger cross culverts and taking into account the new water runoff guidelines and things. The stormwater mitigation, we finally got in touch with the consultant and the draft tender documents. I expect very shortly for that. Other than that, Your Worship, anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Oh, one thing I will say, needle disposal, and I know it's come up a couple of times. We had a letter from resident. The resident actually picked up the needles, and we must stress that the best thing to do is call the Public Works here and have the fellows here dispose of them properly, or pick up them properly, because they have the proper equipment. We, under no circumstance, recommend anybody go anywhere you see any disposed needles anywhere. Just make sure you contact us, and we'll try to get them. So no one should be taking that on their own and doing it. As much as we thank the person for all great intentions, we just want to make sure that they protect themselves. Bulk garbage, sorry for it, is May 25th, 26th, and 27th. So again, this year we'll be having the opportunity to get rid of our accumulation over the winter. And so my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. I have a question. Do anybody have any questions first?
I do.
Go ahead, Mary.
The bulk garbage, and every year I bring this up and I seem to get very little happening with it, but what's happening with our neighborhood cleanup? Did you talk about that?
That happened last year.
Yep, so that is listed there under the bulk
I
garbage, actually.
know, but that, to me, like when we talked about neighborhood cleanup, there's a lot more to it than the Lions Club. And when you look at a town the size of Flat Rock down there, I think last year they had, and I think they were looking at 100 people come out and help clean up the community. Like with the amount of volunteers that we have in the town and the way that, again, I'm going back to the way that it used to be done. We'd have the schools involved, any of the committees that are on the go, and there would be some form of prize or a giveaway with people that had the most garbage, and then they would be allocated to a particular area. Because last year with having the Lions Club, there was a couple went out and they went down Marine Drive, whatever, and it's never been what you would call going out in the neighborhood cleanup in that way. So, and it's always been who coordinates and then who looks at it all. But I really think that the time has come for Torbay to get back and do the big neighborhood cleanup and contact the schools and the different volunteer groups that we now have in place and make sure that we have something and have a barbecue and going back to the way that it was done and have prizes for it all.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's a good point, I think, overall, in terms of getting the community pride back together, getting the group together. And you did touch on, and it's the coordination effort, right? Which leads me to my other side and where we stand with the communications person who's going to be here, because that is one of the areas that I see that person could possibly take over as well, because I know in previous life, it was a combination between public works, recreation, economic development actually, and communications itself, all got together and did get the word out and get all their individual community groups together to come out and do the community.
I don't see that as being a problem. You go back to a couple of years ago, and I probably got the messages that went out on it all. And somebody just to take the lead in it and sending out the emails to everybody. And it's like now we have the group that we invited to the volunteers. And with the schools wanting to get involved and getting somebody to come out and do it all. So again, it's something that's much needed, and if Flat Rock and they can do it and our surrounding towns can do it, surely God Torbay can do it. So do we need a motion for that?
I can speak to that, because I've already started that process. I've got an email gone to the Lions Club, I got one gone to the Active 50 Plus Club, which Sheila Tapper just responded, and she's seen how many people she can get together. Jen just gave me some more contacts for Beavers, Cub Scouts, and so on, so we're already on top of that.
So it's all of the volunteer groups
Yes.
that we have, right?
Yeah.
Because like now, I don't know where we go with some of the discussion, so if it's an action, so that's why I'm saying, I have a motion from council to follow that, no?
I don't think so.
No, I know, okay.
I'm
It's
already on top
just-
of it.
Yeah, it's just when, sometimes when some comments that have been made and that, and I'm just wondering if it should be a decision of all of council rather than me just bringing up something that I feel the need is there for it to be
Would
done.
also be nice if we can get all councillors out and then pick some areas, separate areas around town. I know the mayor always does bowling line area, which is nice.
Every year since it's been on the go, I've been out doing exposures in front of my house. That's the intent, right, in Patrick's Pad, so.
Yeah,
So
but if
just,
everybody take their areas.
Yeah,
just to the director's point, he's actually working on a rack card that will be mailed out to everybody, and the pickup of the bags and gloves will be through Torbay Commons, so there is a coordinated effort there as well too, so.
yes, and that's Saturday, like
And
having,
once we have the rack card finalized, then we'll start with social media push.
yeah. But I just want to add in there, CEO, where you said about, I guess, so that people can go at any time to pick up their bags and get
That's why we
involved with it
selected
all at the
Torbay Common versus
instead
the
of here.
town hall.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
It's gonna be all residents done, right? You said rec cards going out to community worldwide, right? Because it should be a residential initiative. It shouldn't be only necessarily volunteer groups that we do, because they do enough during the year anyway. Not that they won't, they're gonna step up anyway. It's the residents that need to get
Everybody
out and do their own.
did in front of their
They
house.
clean in front of their house.
Yeah.
We must have a place.
We're actually going to include, part of the need ad for May, we'll have a section on the spring cleanup as well too.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, I had a question, but I forgot it. So I'll leave it. Okay, Recreation, Community Services, Counselor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met last week and we discussed programs and events. Time in Torbay, the committee reviewed the budget and tentative schedule for this event. Budget reallocations and breakdowns will be forwarded to corporate services for review and recommendation. Killy Coast Games, registration is open until May 19th. To date, there's been over 350 athletes registered for the games. I think that's extremely promising and great to see.
That's just Torbay?
That is just overall,
everybody?
yes. Yep.
Okay.
The Chief McGraw Awards, the winners were announced were Sophia King, Joel Decker, and Rachel Hammond. The ceremony will continue to be combined with the annual Volunteer Appreciation Event. Speaking of the Volunteer Appreciation, the event was held on Tuesday, April 25th, and had over 60 volunteers attend. The committee would like to again thank all volunteers in the community. With regards to Summer Day Camp, registration opens Wednesday, May 10th for residents and Wednesday, May 17th for non-residents. Programs are $150 per week, except week 2, where there's a $120 fee due because of Canada Day holiday. And residents are reminded that in order to proceed with registration, they require a resident account, e-services, and not a guest account. Splash Pad, the committee discussed the possibility of opening July 1st this year, hopefully weather depending. If we have a summer like last year, we can get it open a little bit earlier. We also had some funding approved in the amount of $28,420 under the Canada Summer Jobs to go towards summer staff wages. This includes 8 camp counselors, 1 camp coordinator, 1 Killy Coast Games coordinator, 2 recreation and leisure counselors, and 2 inclusion counselors. The director and the youth seniors coordinator working on director of human resource to conclude interviews for hiring our summer staff. And I think something that's really of note, the hardship program. The committee discussed the programs for residents who, due to financial reasons, are not able to pay for the program for registration fees. The director is going to forward a draft policy of the corporate services so we can review and make a recommendation. Our next meeting is May 9th, unless you have any questions. So that's my report.
I have one, for Jane, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but was the recreation, the Canada Summer Jobs Program, was that more or less than we had anticipated? Or was it the same?
It was about the same. It's a little bit more than last year, but the minimum wage went up, so it's about the same as previous years. Less than I hoped for, but it's pretty consistent with what we've got in the past.
Do
did we budget for that amount, or did we budget for more?
Budgeted
I'm
for,
looking at it, it's going to have any financial impact on us, I guess.
no, we budgeted for a little bit less. So it's more than we budgeted for, but less than I asked for.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. I do remember what my question was, and I wasn't sure if it was for Public Works or planning, but I've been getting a lot of inquiries lately about animal control. Do we know where we're to with that yet?
We'll be ready to post soon. There's just one edits on here.
Okay, but our intention is to, all right. Okay.
Mayor, just to that point, any emails, and not only yourself, but any member of council gets regarding animal control, you can forward it to me and I'll
Yeah.
respond to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did forward the one today, but it didn't actually, it came from somebody that called looking for me, but they didn't leave their name or number. It's difficult for me to get back to you if you don't leave your name and number, or for to have staff get back to you. But I think I got another email there now since tonight, and it might be from the same person, so I'll forward that one along to you. All right, thank you. Moving on, liaison committees, Atlantic Mayor's Congress. Next meeting is June, I'm thinking 5th and 6th or something like that in Amherst. Intergovernmental Affairs, I don't have any update. I did see an announcement today from the federal government that they're going to finish Team Guju Highway. For anybody that uses Team Guju Highway, good for you. All right. Jack Burn Regional. Any update? No, good. Thank you. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Deputy Mayor.
Next meeting is next week.
Okay. RNC, I don't have any updates. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councilor Manning. No report. Okay, thank you. UMC, we will be meeting on Wednesday in Gander as our new format for our meetings will take place. We're piggybacking it with Symposium, so we will be there. Unfortunately, and just an aside, unfortunately, nobody from our council had got to register for Symposium this year because of all this frigging around with that policy back and forth. And that's really unfortunate, but I don't know. Today is Monday. Somebody cancels or something like that. Maybe we might get an opportunity to go, but
Virtual option still available, is it not?
virtual
is,
option
yep.
is available too, yeah.
It is?
Yeah, so, anyway, it's too bad that a couple of members of our council are gonna miss out on that opportunity, but we get that policy straightened up, we won't have that issue no more. Alrighty then, notice of motion, none. Councilor Goss. This is around the table. I forgot to say pass to you.
You caught me by surprise there.
I got worried.
I was somewhere else. I'd just like to bring up a couple of things for, I'm always into the sports side of things. In April, I was away for a bit, but our Northeast U18 hockey team went to Deer Lake and won the U18 banner for the Northeast Association. I think they did. I have to commend Deer Lake Minor Hockey Association. They put off an amazing event. For kids that were graduating. They had little pictures in frames. They had a banquet. They recognized them during the opening ceremonies. Again, in all my years in minor hockey, it's probably the best run event, and again, hats off to the town of Deer Lake and the Minor Hockey Association. And lastly, we had our last tournament this weekend for the Holy Trinity Tigers. We came up a bit short. We outshot a Stephenville team 54-19 and lost 2-1 in overtime. We got scored against in the last 30 seconds, so it was kind of a heart wrench. And again, to our graduating players, it's kind of a tough time. The grade 12s, their last high school game, and a lot of emotion. And I just like to commend those young men and to say how much it was my sincere pleasure to coach them and be a part of that, and be a part of their lives. I think it's. I don't look at it as volunteering because sports is such a big thing in my life, but it's pretty rewarding when you see some of those kids and that you get to help them develop as young men. So I want to thank all of them.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, Deputy Mayor.
Just wanted to say thank you to everybody involved with the Solomon Goss's birthday events last week. I attended most of them until I went out of town for a few days. I finally got to get my bread making skills tested with Karen Ryan, and it was really worthwhile for me. And of course, I mentioned yesterday the hike in Toutons was a success, and the jigs dinner. And I guess the big thank you to all of our volunteers that were involved with any of these things to make it a success. And I'd just like to put in their happy 8th birthday to my granddaughter Macy, who celebrated while I was away last week. So it's all good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I just want to say thank you again to all the people that were involved in Solomon Goss's birthday thing with the Folk Arts Council and the Torbay Public Library Board and everybody else who came out and supported them and bought tickets and bought cookies and went to different events. It's what community is all about. Thank you all for doing that and having a lot of fun at the same time. Also want to say big, huge congratulations to all the Toronto Maple Leaf fans around. 19 years waiting for your team to get out of the first round of the playoffs, and they finally did it. Hope they don't let you down.
It was so exciting.
Hope they don't let you down going forward. And to all them Boston Bruins fans. As a Habs fan, I'm obligated to not like the Bruins, so well, no, I don't mind the Leafs too much. They were never any good. So
You're going to get in trouble.
When I was growing up, I never saw the Leafs and the Habs play the playoffs as much as I did Boston and Montreal. But until only, what, was it 2 years ago? Montreal and Toronto played in playoffs, and we know how that went. So they're scraping the bottom, looking for draft picks. Anyway, that is that. But I have no Q&A. Nobody left to ask questions. Our next public council meeting is scheduled to take place May 15th, 2023, right here in the Torbay Chamber. Oh, and before I go, I got one last thing. So we've received this invite from Mi'kmaq Cultural. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you very much.